With that, we'll move on to invocation and flag salute. Commissioner Ochoa, could you do flag salutes for us? And I'll close
Everybody
with prayer.
stand, face the flag, place your hand over your heart. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, I thank you for bringing us here tonight. And Lord, I pray for that you keep us all in good health. I pray that you guide us in our decision making. I pray for our city and I pray for our country, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Agenda item number 4 is a public comment period for items not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public present that would like to comment on an item not on the agenda?
I don't show anyone online requesting to speak, and I did not receive any e-comments.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to agenda item 5A, the approval of minutes for the meeting of May 7th, 2024. Does the commission have any comments or questions?
No.
May I ask for a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the planning commission meeting of May 7, 2024.
I second it.
And that passes. Item 6A is extension of time for number 24-003, which is being postponed due to some typos to our next meeting, which will be hosted on, held on June 4th, 2024, correct?
The 6A is being continued as the attorney has made the request to allow additional time to further analyze the request.
Thank you, Solden. So we don't need to open or close public hearing with that, correct? Okay. Item 6B is the extension of time, number 24-002.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and members of the public. I am going to be presenting extension of time 24-002 for Shop and Go. The applicant is Empire Design Group. The property owner is Gurpreet Singh Kok, and the location is the southwest corner of Sanderson and Fruitvale Avenue. The request is for a 3-year extension for the conditional use permit number 16-008, variance 18-001, and tentative parcel map 37564 for Shop and Go. The project is a commercial center with a gas station and convenience store as part of phase 1. And phase 2 includes the drive-through restaurant and a retail with drive-through on approximately 4.04 acres. For context, I provided an aerial view. The street right above is Fruitvale, Sanderson, and Menlo. And here we see the zoning and the location of the map. And the general plan. It's right in here. Neighborhood commercial. And these plans are a little difficult to read, but the parcel map is to divide the 4.4 acres into 3 parcels. And the construction would begin with phase 1, which is this section here. Phase 2 would be this section over here. We also have some elevations to indicate the architect for the convenience store. Front, sides, and rear. And the project is exempt from CEQA based on a previous CEQA guidelines 15162 for a previously adopted final mitigated negative declaration and mitigated monitoring program by resolution 19-004 for CUP 16-008, variance 18-001 and tentative parcel map 37564. This adoption took place on March 19th, 2019, and a notice of determination was filed on March 20th, 2019, in accordance with CEQA requirements. There has been no legal challenge brought against the project or the environmental determination. It is respectfully recommended that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution approving a 3-year extension of time for the conditional use permit, the variance, and the map, with the expiration date of March 19th, 2027. This concludes my presentation. The applicant is also here to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Does the commission have questions for staff? Questions?
Got one. Soledad, can you give us a basic understanding of why the extension?
Yes, we did provide a letter of justification in the staff report, but the, and I think maybe the developer can better answer that question.
Okay.
I can add to that question too. It was because 3 years, last time we did 2 years, now we did 3. And in the report, they said that hoping they're starting construction in September of this year. And it should take a year to develop, which will be a year and a half. So my question to the applicant is why 3 years? If it's only gonna take a year and a half if the city approves everything. The street, are they paving that street on the side that's dirt at the moment?
Chianti, yes, that one is indicated as improved.
Okay.
To be improved, rather.
And no issues with the church being nearby with selling liquor at that location? At the-
There's no liquor proposed at the
No liquor
convenience
proposed.
store.
I have a question. So on page 108, we are asking for variance for the right of use similar to other gas stations in the area. Is that still on the table?
What it is the road on Chianti,
Yes.
which is an ingress into the
Yes.
gas station, should be 150-foot distance, but
Right.
it's 100.
Right. So the ordinance that you speak was 2017. So even during this permitting process, that ordinance was still in place. The other buildings that you are talking about, or gas stations, were compliant under their existing ordinance. So as of right now, they're non-conforming.
Correct.
So that needs to be removed. It's a safety issue. The variance should not. If we do one for one, we'll have to do it for everybody. And it's a logistical thing. It's a real problem. Safety issue. That variance was placed for a reason.
Any other questions for staff before the applicant comes up?
What condition is that?
Well, it's on page 108. So it's an application for a variance to change the 150 feet to something lesser because all the other gas stations around it.
Oh, it's not because of the other gas stations around it. It's because the length of the road doesn't allow for 150.
But your reasoning in here has the mobile gas station, the Valero. They all are different than this current requirement. And then, so it's not something that safety wise, I think the city should allow. And I don't think that, I mean, if these cited gas stations wanted to improve, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would need to conform, and those their access points may be subject to the current standards, and they may have to change it if they were going to do something to their properties. So you can't say yes for this and no for another one, because if someone comes behind, I mean, it's a safety thing.
If it's okay with Commissioner Clark, can we show this on the plot map?
Yes, let's see.
I have a microphone for you, Soledad.
It is this distance from here to this entrance. The distance should be 150 feet, which would take it, somewhere over here. But instead, we requested a variance to allow for 100 feet from here to here.
How much traffic is on that street? Projected traffic?
I believe right now it's not a legal street, and I don't believe it's a through street.
Oh, okay.
So under proposal map, right here, they have the arrow coming out onto a street that they originally proposed. So you're saying that this is not going to be an exit anymore? This is just going to be a curb? Going to just dead end?
That will remain an exit. This will remain. And here, I believe this is going to be, is this going to be blocked off? I don't recall right now. The dead end. So the vehicles will be able to exit.
You have to approach the podium. Okay, I think we need to open up public hearing and allow the applicant to come up and let us know what he has to say.
Greg Hahn. Is that?
Here.
Greg Hahn, architect, Empire Design Group, Lake Elsinore, California. It's actually, we're creating the street. The street's not there. Actually, one of the church representatives for the Prince of Priests is sitting with us tonight. And we've negotiated that half of that street is on their property, the other half is on Mr. Singh's property. Once it's all completed, it will be dedicated to the city of Hemet with all the infrastructure, water, sewer, electric, landscape, curb, gutter, asphalt, all this stuff. And it's a dead end street. I mean, there's no traffic on it. I understand what you're saying about the variance. So if you still feel that way, that's your opinion. That's why you're on the commission.
Yeah, I know that 2019 came after the ordinance of 2000. When you applied, it was already in place that the city done. So, it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for other people, especially when you cite the mobile gas station, as being your reasoning.
I can't comment on what has already been built in the city of Hemet. I mean, I don't know the street situations on all those streets. This is a dead end street. It's only going to have traffic coming out of the gas station. So, any other questions?
But no, I don't have any questions. I look.
As long as I'm here, I'm being,
Can I ask you a few questions here?
yes, yes, sir.
So how many ingress, egress, exits and entrances do you have up there?
Should we give him a microphone?
I think you need
Just
the
a minute, sir, we
microphone.
have to give you a microphone so the public can hear. For public record. Over here. There. You can have a little handheld one. Sorry.
Okay, there's only one ingress egress on Sanderson.
Okay,
Dash line right here is all we're building in phase one. So you'll come into the gas station, go into the gas, and then come out here. Maybe some people will go in here. There is a left turn. You can make a left turn. But I would think a lot of the people are going to come in this driveway, go in here and come back out. You can come out the backside and this will go out to Fruitville. Actually,
Okay.
the map's cut off. But this back portion will be built as an ingress egress.
okay,
So, and there's a 5 acre piece of property between here and here, and then the housing tract beyond. So nothing goes past this point. And the church is in agreement with everything we're doing. And we made some concessions. Everybody's on the same page. Actually, we had the plans all approved. We were ready to start construction. The CP ran out. So we have a contractor, we have plans, everything's been approved. We just ran out of time.
gotcha. To answer my earlier question, kind of a general understanding of why the 3-year delay, extension, sorry.
Multiple things, the pandemic didn't help. It was hard to get things approved at that time, and just things weren't, it takes 5 to 10 years to do one of these projects. I'm 65 right now, so when I take on a project, I'll be 75 when it's done.
Okay,
That's all it'll take, unless I want to move to a different state.
all right,
But California is 5 to 10 years to do a project. So it's a big project. We're undergrounding all along this whole facade and both sides. We're undergrounding all the electrical. We're extending sewer lines. We're putting in water mains. We're putting full facilities in the street for this development. So we're not pulling off Main Street. So it's a pretty nice development. Phase 2 is showing like a CVS and some type of maybe a Starbucks or fast food or something. Could be something different, but they would have to come back in if they're all reapproved and come back to the plan commission. So as long as they stick with the same intent of what we started with, then it's acceptable. It's got a really big length. It's very similar to the Chevron across the street. Big sidewalks, on the landscape. It's well done. Street, just a full width street. The city's agreed to take it over once it's inspected.
thank you for that.
And just one more question for you, why 3 and not 2 years? If you're saying as approved, you'll start in September if all goes well and it takes a year, is it because of phase 2?
No, it's not because of phase 2. We only need 2 years. It's just the way the staff put it together. So I'm not sure why it's 3, but we're going to beat the 3 years. So it doesn't really matter to us.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, if
Okay.
you want to change it to 2, I think we could still do it.
Uh,
Because everything's approved.
I like to hear. Any other questions for applicant?
No, I think I've heard enough about the ingress egress thing and the revariance at the 100-foot thing. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir, for your answers.
All right, with that, we're gonna go ahead and close public hearing. Oh, no, is there any other members that in the public that have a comment on this item?
No, Chair, I don't show anyone online requesting to speak, and I did not receive any e-comments.
Any comment? All right, thank you very much. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and close public hearing. And may I ask for a motion?
Well, Chair, I'd like to talk about what Commissioner Clark
Absolutely.
brought up a little bit. So I'm okay with the 100-foot variance because it's a new street It's got dead ends. It's not a lot of traffic. I mean, if it was going to be something that, there would be a long line of traffic behind it,
Right.
I would have that same concern.
Right.
But I don't see it happening that way.
I just think it opens us up to, well, you did it for them. It's been on the books since 2017, so we've had plenty of time. And yeah, I think it just opens us up to a problem.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's why we're here, is to
I know, yeah.
approve these
It-
variances.
It is. It's a great project. I'm not,
Yeah. I like the project too. I think it's,
the potential of what we will, well, they'll come up, someone will come up to us. And if it's not us, it's going to be somebody else. I'm not against this project at all. Not-
well, you're asking for that variance to be removed. So I don't know. I'm not going to make that recommendation, so it's up to you, Commissioner Clark.
I agree with Commissioner Hill. I mean, when certain things come to planning commission is to make exceptions on certain things. And the exception in this particular case is there's nothing really surrounding that property there, and there is a large amount of acreage behind it. And they will have an exit on a major road once phase 2 opens up. So I'm not against it. I'm not against the variance that they're trying to shorten the road a little bit more. But I mean, that's what commission does. We come here to make exceptions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's,
I just
and I
feel
just-
strongly about that. And so in the future, we may have to qualify, well, we did it because.
Correct.
And so that's my view of it. And it's not that I don't want to see this, but so that road isn't developed yet. So the reasoning for showing the other gas stations enjoying, they had it at that time because that was the ordinance. And so I would have much rather have seen the reasoning be that the street was undeveloped. We would like to do this because X, Y, and Z, not citing, because you're going to have another gas station come and say, let's do this 100, not 150.
And we'll review it at that time. And if it makes sense, it
No, I
makes sense.
understand, but I just think that that's a record, be on the record.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
No. Well, I'm going to make a recommendation to adopt the Planning Commission resolution approving a 3-year extension of time for conditional use permit 16-008 mod 1 variance 18-001 and tentative parcel map 37564 for Shop and Go.
I second.
And that passes. Item 7A is a work study item, Stony Mountain Traffic Calming Plan, Director Noah.
Yes, good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and members of the community. Noah Rao, Public Works Director, City Engineer. Going to share with you kind of the proposal for traffic calming in the Stony Mountain community and kind of how we got here today. This is kind of the agenda. We've first started hearing some complaints about speeding in Stony Mountain back in mid 2022. And so I'm going to kind of go through how we got here, the actions we've taken. And then review the proposal and any input, hopefully, that you have for me and the community has to that proposal. So the first actions that were taken In 2022, after some residents reached out to both police department and public works, police did some targeted enforcement and they collected some data. And then the other thing that Public Works did was we coordinated the addition of some speed limit signs and then the striping of the speed limit in some strategic locations throughout the community. This is some data that was collected by the Hemet Police Department in September of 2022. This was collected on Alabaster Drive between Earthstone Lane and Sagestone Drive. It used a inconspicuous box that was mounted to one of the streetlight poles. So it wasn't like noticed and people didn't see it and slow down or anything like that. So they surveyed a total of 3,980 cars. And the average speed limit there was the 29.2 miles per hour. The 85th percentile was 35 miles per hour. And the significance of this is how in California the speed limits are set. That means 85% of vehicles were traveling that speed or under. As you can see in this data, there was several outliers there to the right. One was traveling 79 miles per hour in a 25. On August 31st, Public Works had some data collected using the typical counters and speed radar. We had Counts Unlimited come out and collect this data. So we did it over a 24-hour period. So it started on August 31st at 12 a.m. and ended at 12 a.m. on September 1st. It was a typical weekday, non-holiday. As you can see, as you would expect, the closer you get to Esplanade, you have higher volumes since those are the only two entrances into the community. The speeds shown there in yellow were the 85th percentile. So it's very similar. When you compare the southernmost one on Alabaster there, it was very close to what the PD data showed. The numbers in the light blue boxes are the total traffic volumes, and then they're also broken down by direction. So then last October, on October 17th, 2023, we had a community meeting at the Hemet Library. Everyone in the community was invited through a mailer that was sent to each address. An overview of various traffic calming tools were presented, and a very productive and interactive focused problem-solving meeting took place. We utilized a program called Mentimeter that allowed the participants to answer some questions with their phones, and then each table had a printed out large size map that they could provide some input and locations and types of calming methods that they would recommend. There's some data from the community meeting. So some of the initial questions were these, things that come to mind. In the word cloud there, you can see speeding was the largest word. And then you can also see that, most of the responses there were a yes to speeding being a problem. So we reviewed some traffic calming tools. So there are 3 E's to remember when you think about traffic calming. It's education, enforcement, and engineering. So this slide contains the main engineering traffic calming tools. And these are kind of categorized between horizontal and vertical measures. The horizontal ones are like the bulb outs, the chokers, the chicanes, the median, and the traffic circle. And then you have the vertical ones that are the speed humps, the lumps, and the tables. Of course, there are the thing that everyone calls speed bumps, but those are the real short ones that you use for 5 miles per hour or less, what you'd see in like a parking lot or an apartment complex. So real quick, I'll go through these tools, starting with the horizontal ones. The bulb out, it's also known as a curb extension, and the purpose is to narrow the roadway at an intersection. This has benefits for pedestrian safety and to reduce vehicle speeds. It does impact, however, the larger vehicles like buses and RVs that need a larger turning radius. The choker is very similar to a bulb out, but it's placed mid-block. It's not at an intersection. And then the median, everyone probably knows what the median is, but it also does the road narrowing. And you can also incorporate kind of a lateral shift that can help reduce speeds as well. The traffic circle is typically at an intersection, and it can effectively reduce speeds. They're similar to a roundabout, but they're not designed to be as efficient like roundabouts are in a high traffic area. Chicane is a series of at least 2 or more lateral shifts that requires the motorist to maneuver one direction and then the other. And this is effective at reducing speeds, but it can also have some effect on public safety response times. Signing and striping up on the top left there, you can do pretty much all of the horizontal things I just went through with striping, but of course you don't have anything physical. It's paint on the ground, but you can paint in on any of those types of things. The problem with that is in a neighborhood situation, typically they'll get used to them and realize there's no physical consequence, and so they'll start cheating and driving over the striped painting. So moving on to the vertical measures. A speed hump is a rounded hump that extends the entire width of the street. It's 3 to 4 inches in height at the center and has the appropriate signage and striping to warn motorists that it's coming. These ones do have an impact on emergency vehicles as well. But when you get to the lump, that's the one that it's basically a speed hump with the cutouts for the emergency vehicles. And then a table is similar as well, but it's got a flat top of at least 10 feet. And those are more intended for speeds greater than 25 miles per hour. And then the last one is not a traffic control measure, but gets brought up a lot as to be used as one, and that's the all-way stop. Stop signs are to control traffic, not to be a traffic calming measure. They need to have warrant criteria based on traffic volumes, mainly because if motorists come to a stop and there's never anyone there, they tend to get run, and then it becomes a safety hazard. So some results from the community meeting. The map on the left shows it's a compilation summary of what was placed on all the maps from all the tables. We'll see there's a lot of the circles there. The different colors are just from the different tables that the groups that were putting those down. There's quite a few. It was a little hard to decipher all of that. There's an awful lot of different locations there once it's compiled. And then you can see some of the questions there about, what type of traffic calming solutions that they liked best. The highest one there is the speed lumps because it would not affect response times. A couple of the speed humps and others. But it seemed to be, overall consensus that speed lumps were the preferred method there. So this is the proposed traffic calming solution of speed lumps. Hopefully it's legible there. This is the same as the attachment in the staff report, so hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at that. So this has 8 locations proposed to install speed lumps. The locations were selected in a way that they should not transfer any traffic volumes from one street to another, such that the motorists could change their route to avoid the lumps. They are in the locations of the longest straight segments where the highest likelihood of speeding would take place. I have reached out to the residents that are at these locations on either side, because we would need 100% concurrence to place those. I have had no opposition. I've heard back from most and they are in support. And there's just a couple missing responses on those. So it's recommended that the Planning Commission review the proposed traffic calming plan for Stony Mountain community as presented, listen to any additional input from the community, provide feedback to the plan, and then ultimately recommend approval of the plan with any modifications to the city council. And of course, you know, the policy that we've gone through here, it's because the city does not have a traffic calming policy, which would be kind of a set process that everyone could follow when they go to request traffic calming. And so as time and resources allow, we're going to be working on bringing a traffic calming policy forward in the future. So that concludes my presentation. I'll turn it back over to you, Chair, and I'll be here to answer any questions. And of course, I'd like you to hear from the community that's here to speak as well.
All right, thank you, Director Noah. Commissioner, do you have questions for Director Noah?
Yes. What kind of experience have you had in the past in other residential areas? It seems like the consensus here is traffic lump. Is that pretty much what most people come up with in their community?
It varies. I think that's definitely preferred by public safety. Fire also attended the community meeting, and that was a strong preference of theirs. It's, the hump with the cutouts for their vehicles. But, when you go to a lot of other cities, a lot of them are using humps without the cutouts. A lot of them are using just striping. It's all over the place, and it really depends on, a lot of cities have a traffic calming policy, which kind of dictates what those measures will be as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know what speed an ambulance or fire truck would be going on those residential streets without the lump versus the cutout one?
Well, they wouldn't have to, brake and slow way down for the humps. I know they,
Do they go typically 25,
if
30?
it's an emergency and they have their sirens on, they're going to be going 45, 50, most likely.
I have a question. So in there, I believe it said it was $80,000 with your proposed amount for 8 speed bumps.
Yeah, these are, 8 to 10,000 a piece to install. We're proposing 8 at this point. And so, if you're adding on, it could be, as low as 7 or something but just, part of the mobilization and all the getting them out and demob and all that is going to be part of that cost as well. And the question is this, because I know most neighborhoods have a lot of speeders that go through them, but in our general budget for public works to do speed bumps and things like that, if other neighborhoods start, because I know there's streets that need to be fixed that $80,000 can go to and fix parts of the roads that really need help, that traffic takes every day. And putting that $80,000 into one individual neighborhood to slow it down a little bit, to me, it's that money could be used in other places. But my question is, what kind of budget do we have if other neighborhoods start catching on to this and they go, hey, yeah, McSweeney Farms, they're speeding up McSweeney Parkway and we want to install. And that's why I think it's going to be really important that we put together a traffic calming policy, and there's going to be a set process and a set budget every year for traffic calming to address that in the future. For this, I do think there's some serious safety concerns, and we can have the data to back up there's some serious speeding going on. So I think, the city council is going to end up having to decide, because I'll have to request funds to do this project when I take it to them. So they'll have to decide and make that, weigh those competing. And I think maybe us, Public Works and Planning should probably, when we start having new developments, and us as commission can start incorporating that in new development, speed bumps or dips even, because dips slow people down and dips cost more than a speed bump does. But that's something we can add on
to upcoming developments to make sure that doesn't
Absolutely.
happen.
Certainly, if you see streets that are wide and long and straight, it's gonna definitely, people are gonna speed on those.
Do we know where the speeder's residence?
The community may, I personally don't.
Not to, but it, you know, if someone's trying to get to work on time and she's late, she's speeding down. Just a question. Something maybe I might do. Yeah, that's right.
The other question is, where was that? 7, 8 speed bumps, 80K. Oh, there, you have 2 speed bumps that you placed on the paperwork that is right at the entrance of both streets off of Esplanade. And it's like 4 houses in, you're gonna put a speed bump right there on each street. And then there's a stop sign shortly after that. Is there a reason why we're picking that location to put a speed bump on that short stretch before they hit the stop sign?
Which one is there a stop sign at?
I
Because
believe it was, we can go back to the map, right.
usually
when-
there's stop signs coming into those main streets, but not at those main streets.
Not at the main street, but as you pull.
As you
into
come
the
into
neighborhood,
those streets,
like
yeah.
8 houses in, 7 houses in, there's a stop sign right there. No, there's no stop sign.
No.
Okay, so it's just go in and go. Got it. Okay.
Right, leading into those main streets that go to Esplanade, there's stop signs coming into those, but not on those main streets.
Roger that. That needs for clarification. Thank you. Any
What
other
d-
questions?
What does the public say?
Did we have speakers?
All right, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and open up public hearing, and thank you, Noah, for the presentation.
I have 2 request to speak forms that were given to me for the meeting. Would you like me to call upon those first?
Please do.
Cindy McKay,
Good evening. I live on one of the very busy streets. My street is Sagestone. I don't have the map in front of me. I am not exaggerating. Cars are going 50, 60 miles an hour down our street, especially about 4 and 5 o'clock coming home. And in the mornings when moms are late for school, because I ride my bike the neighborhood consistently and I see this traffic and it's frightening. Our streets are very wide. So it gives them more latitude to go faster because the parked cars are more distanced in the street. And we have blind curves. My street's actually a curve. And if they're coming at 60 mile, 50, 60, they can't see around the curve if somebody's backing out or some child is in the street. We have little kids. We just had 4 new little ones move into our neighborhood right on my street. I don't want to see them run out on the street, chasing a ball and a car's coming at 50 miles an hour. You have to think of the life of the children and people walking and dogs and so forth. And then the flip side, you have to think, yes, of the fire engines, the ambulance and so forth. But, you got to weigh where are we going to weigh it? What's going to be the answer here? Because we're going to have accidents. We're going to have deaths. And this occurred. We were a nice, quiet, calm neighborhood until approved for building more homes in our community. There's another how many? Yeah, 92 more homes at the far end of our community. These roads were blocked off for 20 years. Now they're opened and these new residents have a freeway to their home and they're using it. And we've seen Robbie lives on one of the busiest spots on our community and his children, he cannot let them go out front. No way. They cannot be out there by themselves because even if that person loses control, they're going to end through somebody's home. And there's a park across from Robbie, so there's no parked cars across from his area. So that's even more of a green light for them to go faster. And so they're just not considering, and no one, the children, neighborhood, nothing. They just go. And it's like, you got to see it to believe it. So, you had a question?
Thank you.
A second of my time.
We all have a little bit to say.
Yeah, so go ahead and put your name up for a public comment, and each of us have a 3-minute time to
Okay.
make a public comment statement.
everyone will be given an opportunity. to speak, but I do just have another one from a Mr. Robbie. And then after Mr. Robbie, then you can just go in turns.
All right, and I appreciate your time and I appreciate you considering, and I really, really appreciate Noah. He's done a lot of work on this. It's been great.
Yes, you have. Thank you. All right.
I say,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I say the same thing. I've lived in Hemet since 1979, so it's been a long time. It's kind of funny. When I was a kid, Hemet was known for the most banks on one street. Now I think Sanderson's going to be the most gas stations on one street. A lot of gas stations. So, anyways, yeah, kind of just to say the same thing. I just want to say, Noah, I can't believe that we've even gotten this far. This has been like a 2-year process of dealing with the police and the city council and trying to get all this coordinated. And these are all my neighbors here, and I have to, I beg and plead that they come, and so they're all here. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, just one recommendation I gave to Noah is on Alabaster, at least the speed lumps are kind of too far apart. So if you think about how fast can a car go from 0 to 40 in a matter of seconds, right? So I initially requested the stop signs at those where you thought, but they can't use them for traffic calming. I thought that'd be the cheapest option, right? You just throw a stop sign in, maybe that would stop people, but people don't even stop at stop signs. But other communities like San Jacinto, for instance, they have speed humps. They don't have the cutouts. Moreno Valley, same thing. Cal Fire, they just, if you go to the community on Warren, just a little bit north of us, they have speed humps, and they're in a much bigger fire area, fire danger area. So, and yeah, like Cindy said, I have 2 children. I wish I could have sent you photos so you could see them, but yeah, I mean, you know how it is with children. If you take your eyes off them for 2 seconds, they could be in the street. I've gone into the street to ask, my neighbors to slow down, and I've been verbally assaulted. I've had them, get in my face, and they really don't like that. And I've seen the police ticket some people, and then I still see those same people speeding. So, and hopefully, I know it's expensive. I'm writing to Newsom right now to put those speed cameras in, but he's a little harder to get a hold of.
So would you, do you prefer the traffic lump?
I prefer whatever we can do. I mean, I'm just, everybody, a lot of people discourage me from even trying to do this because they're, it's like nobody's going to listen. And the first time I've ever went to a city council meeting was when they approved the tract map of the community. And I came and I said, you're going to put 92 more homes in our community, and everybody has a minimum of 3 cars now. I mean, and then some of these homes have that like little casita. So there's like maybe another family living there. So some homes may have 5, 6 cars. And I understand, people have to commute and they're trying to get home. And when they come around the corner, I mean, you can just hear them light it up. I mean, you can just hear them just step on the gas and go, because they're trying to get to the back of the neighborhood to get home. And I know we all want to get home, but I want my kids to be able to grow up and live. I don't want to, have an accident. And unfortunately, we just live in I don't know, you've seen the people who've moved into town. They're not exactly the people with the nice character like these people here.
Thank you very much.
Quick question. I'm really curious. Is it, it sounds like it's, like everything was fine up until a while ago.
Right.
It's the usual suspects. Is it a brand new element that
It's
just moved in?
There's the people the people that have moved into the community. They're, they're from outside, maybe LA or wherever, San Diego, or maybe even Paris or Moreno Valley, and they come here and there's lax law enforcement here. I mean, it is what it is. You go to Marietta and their police department, I mean, they're really everywhere. And then, I have to beg and plead, to get the police just to come out for a couple hours to just have a presence, and that's nothing against the city. I mean, I understand these things happen, but other bigger communities, they have a larger law enforcement presence. And in our community, in Hemet, they have to go to the really important calls, right? So they're not going to waste their time with these kind of smaller things. They got, bigger fish to fry, essentially. And other communities, the way they've designed their tracks is there's not really that much straightaway. Like if you actually came to my neighborhood and you saw like how straight the road is and how wide open it is, it's really easy for people just to step on the gas because they're coming off Esplanade, they're doing 50 on there. It's hard to go from 50 or 60 down to 25 when you're just like so close to your house. You're just like, I just want to get home. But unfortunately, these people, I've gone out into the street, like I said, and it's not a pleasant experience. No matter how politely I ask, they want to either get, a verbal altercation, or some of them have wanted to do a physical altercation. That's not where I'm not looking for that. I've lived in the community since 2008. I've lived in that neighborhood since 2008. It's been wonderful. And then ever since the homes were built, it's just the quality of the citizenship has gone down, and there's just no respect. People just don't care.
Understand.
All right, thank you very much. And anybody else want to speak, please approach the podium and state your name.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Jeff Versluis. This is my wife Shannon. We've been in the neighborhood since 2012, and it's a great neighborhood. It's a beautiful place. I'm proud to say I live there. But I'm going to start with Alabaster's the worst, the absolute worst. You come in off of Esplanade, and that whole run from Esplanade all the way around the back, if you had the map up here, you'd see what I was talking about. But it goes all the way back with no stop signs, no obstructions. It's just wide open, wide streets like we've been saying. So he actually had a dead end there, one house beyond his, for most of the time he's been there. And so when they open it up, that is the main artery that everybody's using to just blast through the back of the neighborhood, back into the back of the neighborhood. And the majority, I think the focus needs to be number one on Alabaster. Okay. Number two and number three are by the parks. Well, Alabaster's park on that side, plus the park on the Cinnabar. Okay. It's because, and our neighborhood has a lot of people walking, exercising, bikes, dogs, kids. And I have come home. I'm a truck driver. Okay. So when I come home, I look ahead. I'm always on radar, and I'm looking at the kids playing in the park, and they play with their footballs, their frisbees. They just play kickball. And I've had kids come out in the street. I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I'm going to say humps. Okay. Because there's 1,000 times more kids and people and parents and people on bicycles than there are going to be if any kind of emergency vehicles doing 50 miles an hour in our neighborhood, they're going to pass where they need to be. Okay. So they're not going 40, 50 miles an hour. They're going to be going till they can find the house that they need to be going to. Okay. So that couple seconds, I'm not trying to dismiss it. Okay. But I'm saying the thousands of people throughout the year that blaze through the neighborhood is the most important. Okay. So I personally think that we need to kind of revise, maybe all of us get together and double get together, triple, put our heads together and make sure that we are on the same page with where the speed humps are going to be, because that will actually slow people down. But a majority of them, the biggest concern is Alabaster, in my opinion. So I know there was something else that I was going to present, but I can't remember it. And probably when I'm on my way home, I'll remember it.
All right, thank you very much.
My name is Jeff Lawrence, and I live on Riverstone Court. And I'm diabetic, so I don't do a lot of walking, but I got 3 Huskies, and they're pretty active dogs. So I got a little scooter, and I'm out in the neighborhood all different times of the day. And Robbie and Jeff were hitting the nail on the head. I'm out there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm out there at noon. I'm out there at 12 o'clock. And it doesn't matter. They're traveling at least 50 miles an hour on Alabaster any time of the day. It's not 8 o'clock in the morning when they're going to work. and it's not 4 o'clock in the afternoon when they're coming home. It's all the time. So, and about the blind curves and stuff. I mean, walking the dogs with my scooter, and because of the scooter, we're out in the street. We're not on the sidewalk. So when I come up to one of those blind curves and there's a car parked there, we slow down and we very gingerly come around there, because there's been so many times that people are heading right straight at me and they don't even see me. Yeah. So, yeah, we need to do something. I mean, on our street alone, Riverstone is probably one of the third longest streets in the neighborhood. And they'll come, I mean, UPS, FedEx, they're blasting. US Post Office, they're blasting down the street 40 miles an hour all the time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Is there any else member of the public that would like to make a public comment? Please approach the podium. All right.
Hi, I'm Shannon Versluis. My question is, when you guys, who approved this 97 houses that got built in there and didn't think something should be done where we have to come back 3 years later? You know, like, you guys built all these houses, but there's 2 stop signs to get in and out. So all this extra traffic, you guys approved these houses for income, but what about the people it's affecting? Like, if I leave at 6:45 to go to work, I can get out of this town, but you guys are building thousands of more houses, but let it be 7 o'clock. It takes me 20 extra minutes because there's still only a 2-way highway out everywhere, but you guys keep approving. I don't know if you guys do, but all these houses, we're getting a community across the street from us. Are you guys going to change the stop signs there? Are there going to be like people for that community when you guys build 500 houses there? Like, the builders should be responsible for this. To say, like, where's this $80,000 come? The builder that built these 96 houses, it should have been put in that plan before it was approved, to say, hey, how is this going to affect our community? How is this going to affect everybody who has to commute? Everybody has to commute to go to work. It take two-way highway out. Like, you guys keep building thousands of more houses. Like, does anybody take an effect? Like, oh, we're building 20,000 more houses, but there's still a 2-way highway out. Because I'm going that way. Even getting to Ramona Expressway, like, it's still the same thing. So we need to think about all these extra people we're adding. What are we doing? Where's our highway out of here? We're not making that bigger. Where do I spend my bill? Because right now, to get out of Stony Mountain Ranch just to go to Sanderson, it's like a third world country. Like, I literally go to the gym in the morning, it's dark. I'm like, I tell my husband, I'm probably going to land in a pothole and have to call AAA because our road is so bad. So not only inside of Stony Mountain Ranch, our street right there. And it's scary because they're building how many more houses? 500? Actually, it's supposed to be a whole apartment community, a school right across the street in San Jacinto. Is it because San Jacinto, you guys don't approve that? Because I know it's going to affect me when I go to work. You know, it's like, people have to take into consideration what's already here and how it's going to affect them. And we pay Stony Mountain on our taxes for Stony Mountain Park. So that was $900 more houses. Couldn't that come from the money? You guys don't spend that much money doing our park, do you? Because there's a lot of money taken out of our taxes here for Stony Mountain Park. So if there's money that needs to be done, couldn't you do the humps out of that money, out of all the houses that are paying to that?
Well, you've given us a lesson learned. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other members of the? Go ahead and approach the podium and state your name, please.
Hey, good evening, guys. My name is Dane Hackler, and I live on Cinnabar. Cinnabar is one of the 2 main entrances into our community there. So there's Alabaster and Cinnabar. We've been there since 2007, and I'm right across the street from one of the basketball courts. So, like, I see all the time, man, people are going by, and I hear a ball bounce out in the street, and I just cringe. Because I know at some point, someday.
Can you check and make sure your microphone is on?
Oh,
There you go. Thank you.
do I need to start over? Good evening. I'm Dane Hackler. I live at 1390 Cinnabar.
Thank you.
So anyways, I think it would behoove everybody if we got something at least on Cinnabar to slow people down in front of that park, because man, I see a lot of kids and a lot of families and a lot of people out there, and I just want everybody to go to the park and have a good time, which is what I did with my kids when they were little. I have two daughters, they're 12 and 14 now. But when they were little, we were over there all the time. And so seeing people speed by that park, it's very worrisome. And if any of you ever want to come and just sit in my driveway someday and listen to the cars go by when all the kids are out there playing at the park, you're more than welcome to come and just kind of witness what happens there. So that's all I got.
I got
Thank
a
you.
question for you.
Yes, sir.
Humps or lump?
Probably the lumps.
Lumps?
But-
Okay.
I'll take either.
Noah, do you know if it can be a mixture? Strategically place bumps somewhere and lumps where else? Less.
I think, I mean, for me, it could be, but I think I would want to get some input from public safety on that. Definitely.
I mean, if they hit the lump or the hump first and it shakes them, and then there's a lump coming or the lesser of that, they might see it and not recognize it. I don't know, but I agree.
Which if you can approach the podium, it has to be on public record. I'm sorry.
So my question would be, what's the separation in the hump that for the emergency vehicles? I mean, is that wide enough for like, say, cars or big trucks?
Right, so I have a friend who lives in Menifee, they have the lumps in Menifee, but Moreno Valley and Samsona, they have humps. And, even if you try to drive one tire on one side of the car, you still hit the bump. But yeah, the humps, I think, slow people down a little bit more, but it's, just if I can get anything in there.
Yeah.
If we can get Noah to kind of answer that on the microphone, just, I know he asked a question, but nobody can hear what he had to say.
The answer is the cutouts are designed for a fire engine, and they are wider than any automobile or SUV. I think, you know, if you get a big 1 ton or greater truck, you may be able to use them, but you'd still be up on the edges a bit. But that's the design.
Which is more cost effective, hump or lump?
They're about the same.
Yeah. Okay. And with that, anybody else public comment before we close public hearing? Going once. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and close public hearing. And if there's any questions or comments from the commission?
First of all, I really like the fact that we should do this for the city in the permitting process for this.
I agree.
I've been vocal since I've been here about the traffic problems, and I do have some real concerns. I agree with this wholeheartedly. I'm a mother of 3 kids, and they are out of your range for just a second, and dang if they aren't in the SPF lotion getting it all over them, you know, and you're like, I only left you alone for a minute. I mean, these are families. I don't see the money being the problem. I think it's something that we should do collectively for each other. That's a community. That's my view. Oh, thank you.
No comment. You gonna make a recommendation?
I recommend, yes, shall I? I recommend that we approve this proposal so that the city council can look at it and also approve it. But officially, I would vote, or let's see, I would like to do a motion.
We don't necessarily need a motion, though. This is just a work study.
That's it.
It's just, we had just propose a traffic calming plan to Stony Mountain community input and just move it forward to city council to.
And good job, Noah. Really,
Yeah.
to have your whole community that's got a problem behind you.
And I know listening to a lot of city council meetings live, Stony Mountain has come around many of time making public comments about the speed bumps and, you know, if there were other communities more actively engaged, you know, we would be doing the same thing again, but this allows us to, with a different perspective, new developments coming in to start requiring these things in all newer developments because, you know, some of us, this is something new when it comes to the infrastructure part of it and the speed. You know, and this is why we're here. And yes, let's move it forward to the city council.
Great.
All righty, and we are moving on to item 8A, city attorney reports.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
7B, community development reports. Director Monique.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Monique Galanese Slater. I just wanted to report, we just returned from the ICSC conference in Las Vegas, the International Retailers Conference. It was a really great experience. We made a lot of connections for looking, you know, at development options in the city. We did reach out to Miguel Jr.'s. However, they were not at the conference, but we were reaching out to corporate. So I just wanted to make sure that that was noted. And I have no further no further comments.
Commissioner Hill will be at the ribbon cutting event when that happens. All right, item 7C, future agenda items. Director Monique.
Future agenda items before you will be the environmental justice and safety element. The environmental justice element and safety element are two separate elements of the general plan that will be presented. We have Freddy's Custard Restaurant, JD Fields, High Point Apartments, and a facade improvement program that will be presented at our upcoming meetings.
Thank you very much. And finally, item 7D, Planning Commissioner's report. Director Monique.
Commissioner Clark,
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Ochoa,
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Hill,
I think Chair Beamster mentioned this last week about the road conditions, getting an update from Public Works. Is that coming forth anytime soon, Monique? Director Monique?
since we have the benefit of the director this evening, maybe he could provide maybe some updates on maybe upcoming or future presentations to the Planning Commission
We would
on
love
traffic
that.
related items.
Okay.
Or street improvement items, you know.
Well, that'd be nice.
Not prepared to give that tonight, but we can certainly schedule something and have some exhibits on upcoming projects and everything like that.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Also,
it.
if we could clarify for his benefit to, just to clarify what type of information that is being requested in terms of what type of street improvements is the information that is being requested, what street improvements are, is it traffic safety? Is there a focus that you would
Street-
like
street
information on?
Street improvement, repaving. I mean, there are a lot of potholes and a lot of bad roads around. And not just residential, I mean, thorough city streets like Park Avenue, Menlo. I mean, just to name a couple.
That's
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Vice Chair Papp is absent with notice. Chair Beamster.
the only thing I want to report is I drove around a couple shopping centers, one in particular on State and Stetson where Milano's Pizza is. The weeds vegetation problem there is, it looks awful. The weeds are dead. They're about probably 3 feet high. And I'm not sure part of it is city because it's right by in between the sidewalk and the street. But also in the neighborhood, in the shopping center itself, the weeds are just let go. It just looks terrible. And I believe the other shopping center I'm thinking of is where the old Marshalls and Petco used to be, and the KPC shop, no, it's not KPC, but behind In-N-Out. Some areas back there, in the back end areas are looking pretty bad when you're driving around back there. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I know that shopping center in St. Stephen and Milano's looks really bad. It's an eyesore. And other than that, there's nothing else to report. With there being no further business to discuss, this meeting will be adjourned to the next planning commission meeting scheduled for June the 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m.